Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, a connect, an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of this description. Artwork, lots of pyramids and fun stuff. If you are interested in viewing my portfolio, AllyKatzkreations211.com. And if you're interested to purchase anything, please make sure you email me. All of that is at the bottom of the description. So this is take 2 of this video of quantum AI and metaphysical ponderings because Zoom failed as I was reading and didn't realize that it X'd out. So we're going to do take 2. I'm so aggravated by Zoom right now. You have no idea. Before I begin, make sure you check out my TikToks. I'm going back to the law of one. Spirit knocked me in for a loop the last night. I would say the last few days, but like last night was really like, oh, get the book. And then when I was up to the part where I left off maybe a year and a half ago, because I was just doing my opinions on it, my thinkings on it, my ponderings. A lot of what's going on right now is kind of being projected out again. So what better time is to get back into the law of one? I've read it already, but it's mind-blowing when you go back to something that you have already read, but like now you're finding more of the information that you need, and that spirit is driving you to look at. So make sure I do little shorts on there, but I upload that also to this channel, so make sure that you are checking that out. Quantum AI Metaphysical Ponderings. Guys, we have a new formula for pi. It is here and pushing scientific boundaries. This is from popularmechanics.com. This breakthrough method optimizes complete computations like never before by Carolyn Delbert, published July 18, 2024. While building a simpler model for particle interaction, scientists made a sleek new pie. Who doesn't love pie? Love pie? I like coconut custard pie. Ooh, ooh. Representations of pi help scientists use values close to real life without storing a million digits. The making of the new pi involved using a series which is structured set of terms that either converge to one expression or diverge. In the new research, physicists use principles from quantum mechanics, my favorite, to build a new model of the abstract concept of pi. I don't know how pi is abstract because it is infinite, but it's definite. Or more accurately, they built a new model that happens to include a great new representation of pi. But what does that mean? And why do we need different representations of pi? Because quantum mechanics looks at the tiniest particles one at a time. Even simple questions can have complex answers that require massive computing power. Rendering high-tech video games and movies like Avatar can take days or more, and that's still not at the level of reality. In this new paper published in the peer-reviewed journal Physical Review Letters, physicists Arnab Priya Saha and Adnida Sinha described their new version of quantum model that reduces complexity but maintains accuracy. This cold optimization, think of the way early internet video buffered in chunks of similar colors, or how classic animators painted static bodies with individual moving parts on top. Heck, think of how people cut the corners of squared off walking paths until they made a dirt path shortcut. We're surrounded by optimization and optimizing behaviors. As detailed in their paper, Saha and Sinha combine two existing ideas from math and science, the Feynman diagram of particle scattering and the Euler beta function for scattering in string theory. What results is a series, something represented in math by the Greek letter epsilon, surrounded by parameters. Series can end up generalizing into overall equations or expressions, but they don't have to. And while some series diverge, meaning that the terms continue alternate away from each other, others converge on one approximate concrete result. That's where pi comes in. The digits of pi extend into infinity, and pi is itself an irrational number, meaning it can't be truly represented by an integer fraction. The one we often learn in school, 22/7, is not very accurate by 2024 standards, but it can be represented pretty quickly and well by a series. That's because a series can continue to build out values well into the tiniest digits. If a mathematician compiles a series terms, they can use the resulting abstraction to do math. This is impossible with an approximation of pi that cuts off at 10 digits by a standard disk calculator. A sophisticated approximation enables the kind of nanoscopic particle work that inspired these scientists in the first place. In the early 70s, Sinha said in a statement from an Indian Institute of Science, scientists briefly examined this line of research, but quickly abandoned it since it was too complicated. But math analysis like this has come a long way since the 1970s. Today, Sinha and Saha are able to analyze an existing model and remodel it with alternate terms. They're able to build a sequence and see that it converges on the value of pi within far fewer terms than expected, making it easier for scientists to run the series and then use that for further work. All of that is required of decades of foundational work in the field, and large bodies of working show that certain mathematical moves work where other ones don't. It is a comment on the ongoing and collaborative nature of math theory, even when what results is a working model that might help scientists. Our ability to meaningfully approximate has given in tandem with our ability to solve complex problems outright. Doing this kind of work, although it may not see an immediate application in daily life, gives a pure pleasure of doing theory for the sake of doing it, and Sinha said in the statement. So, wow. If we are in the mathematical world, that's kind of cool news and something that people don't really necessarily tap into. I like how people are thinking string theory, even though now it's theory and it might be realized one day. I hope so, because I like string theory. I'm a proponent of it. And quantum mechanics. And this just goes to show how we're already in fourth dimension and fourth density, because we are now moving the scope of mathematics higher. We are using the old systems, but redefining them for new systems, which is like, again, mind-blowing. The discoveries alone are mind-blowing. My only question to people is, in what means are these things going to be used for? When we do computations and we're thinking about the moving up of technology, are we handing everything over to an AI generated nano bullshit bot who's doing the work for you so you don't use your thinking power, or disgusting, or are we using it to make positive polarized technology to help humanity? One can only imagine and tell from this standpoint. We're not there yet, but we're getting there. And people, you know, thankfully, these two ladies, bravo, for coming up with a new formula for pi. That's fantastic. And I hope we are going to see more of these articles, because usually for me, it's doom and gloom and like, what are you people doing? But this is something that we should be celebrating, that people are channeling higher information and actually getting something that could possibly benefit humanity. It's up to us to take it in the better direction. Just saying. Time crystals, they're back. They're weird now. So, oh, the livescience.com. Fun. Scientists create weird time crystal from atoms inflated to be hundreds of times bigger than normal. Yeah, I don't like time crystals in the way that it's being used now by major corporations. How inner earth and lots of earth minerals are gems, and they store energy and frequency and memory, ethereal components to it too, and how they've been manipulated. And you know, I can take one of my big pyramids, and each of these layers of gems I hold and I put my intentions in them to amplify what is already stored within them. Okay, so yeah, we don't necessarily want just anybody forming these time crystals, because sine and cosine waves can interfere in their wave function. I know I'm losing people here, but just we'll read the article because I didn't. We're going to read it together. This is by Ben Turner, published July 11, 2024. By blowing atoms up to several hundred times their size, researchers have been able to make another type of oddly behaving time crystal. Physicists have blown up atoms to hundreds of times their usual size to create a spectacular version of exotic matter that was once thought to be impossible. The strange matter phase, known as a time crystal, was created by firing lasers at rubidium atoms until they ballooned into excited form. By doing so, the researchers say that they have opened a new avenue for exploring the properties of the mysterious crystals, which cycle periodically between two states seemingly without end, moving forward and never losing any energy. The new technique, which was described July 2nd in the Journal of Nature Physics, could also help scientists to build better quantum computers. See what I'm talking about here? We have created a new system here that provides a powerful platform for deepening our understanding of time crystal phenomena in a way that comes close to Frank Wolznick's, I'm totally butchering that last name, or original idea co-authored Thomas Pohl, a physicist at the University of Vienna. First proposed in 2012 by the Nobel Prize-winning physicist Wolzek. Time crystals are groups of particles that repeat in time, fourth dimensional time, much like other crystals such as table salt, or diamonds repeated in space. This is exciting to physicists. Usually the laws of physics, which are symmetrical across space and, in most cases, time, creating outcomes that are same regardless of their direction in space and time. But crystals break this symmetry, arranging themselves in a preferred spatial direction. This means that even if physical laws are still symmetrical, they create different outcomes depending on the direction they act upon crystals. In the same way that crystals break symmetry in space, time crystals break them in time. They exist in the lowest possible energy permitted by quantum mechanics and oscillate between two states without slowing down. These remarkable properties have led to many claims that time crystals are perpetual motion machines that violate the second law of thermodynamics, but that isn't the case. The crystals, which are driven by lasers, simply cannot lose or gain energy. All the laser light hitting them does it's cause them to repeat their two-step shuffle. This means, like many systems containing only a handful of atoms, the second law does not apply to them. A number of time crystals have been made since Wozniak's proposal, each offering their own unique windows into the bizarre phase of matter. To build their time crystal, the researchers behind the new study turned to rubidium, atoms, excited into what are known as Rydberg states. By firing laser light at a glass container, sorry guys, I'm barely able to see the screen, filled with rubidium atoms, the physicists pumped the gas with tons of excess energy. The laser light excited the electrons found within the atoms, causing the spaces between their atomic nuclei and the electrons' outer shells to balloon to hundreds of times their usual size. This made something very interesting happen. If atoms in our glass container are prepared in such Rydberg states and their diameter becomes huge, then the forces between these atoms also become very large, Hull said, and they in turn changes the way they interact with the laser. If you choose laser light in such a way that it can excite two different Rydberg states in each atom at the same time, then a feedback loop is generated that causes spontaneous oscillations between the two atomic states. This in turn also leads to oscillating light absorption. In other words, a time crystal had appeared within the glass box. This is actually a static experiment in which no specific rhythm is imposed on the system, Poe said. The interactions between light and atoms are always the same. The laser beam has a constant intensity, but surprisingly, it turned out that the intensity that arrives at the other end of the glass cell begins to oscillate in highly regular patterns. Now that they have created their new type of crystal, the researchers will continue to experiment on it and test it for further applications. They have suggested that it could be used to create new highly sensitive sensors, alongside helping scientists to better understand quantum synchronization, a phenomenon in which multiple quantum states can be made to act in phase that will aid in the development of better quantum computers. Why I'm very against med beds. Hi guys. Hi. Not because I don't believe in the good of humanity to produce a technology that would heal people. Absolutely not. We have to estimate and put into weighing the options here. If this has already been done in quantum mechanics, string theory, let's just say, quantum entanglement, that time is a crystal in our dimensionality, that has been manipulated by sine and cosine waves that are interfering in the waveform of the time crystal itself, and is distorting our reality. Now, let's just say they make these quantum computers and they use time crystals in these forms. If a negative entity, a negative thought form, or something outside of our sphere of influence, our densities, dimensions, were to entangle itself in a waveform to distort and change the waveform of a crystal, that would be a technology in a med bed in future times that would correlate to the synchronization of your atoms and DNA structure to use higher frequency to heal your body. Now, what happens? The negative distortion in the waveform would be freaking out your DNA, and who knows what havoc it would wreak on your etherical DNA or body. When we talk about the medbed phenomenon, it makes me ponder the aspect of death, because people want to flee the idea of dying. Like, it's a fear. Death is fear. We fear to die. I don't. Go Valhalla. I mean, today I can die. I'm fine with that. I know where I'm going. I know that my consciousness is going to be a light body at some point in the process of transmutation of my energy. I'm not afraid of the death thing, but people that are so hung up on the med bed thing are like avoiding something that needs to be healed within. Listen, I have rheumatoid arthritis. I have thyroid problems. My teeth fall out of my face, and one of my eyes is really fuzzy. I'm not perfect as a human being. I run on a lot of pain. That's just the scope of what I chose as an experience in 3D. I cannot escape that experience. The only thing I can do for myself is enable myself to better myself. Try different modalities, try different things that are natural in nature occurring, not something made in a lab that we don't know whose intention was impinged on the experiment, on the development, on the technology, on the actual physicality of the machine. We don't know the energy, the frequency of those people that are doing these things. And I would always love to be naive to say they're always good people. And 90% of them are probably really good. But there is a lot of people who are self-aggrandizement, self-gain, power over others, who have nefarious uses for these technologies. And where did the technology come from in the first place? And I bet you maybe, let's be fair, 60% of that is negative. So you really don't know where you're getting your healing from if you're using a machine. And I'm not bashing anybody that has a Rife machine or any one of those scalar waves machines, but if you think of what I am reading and the experiments these people are physically doing, improving to people, what do you know that if you have a Rife machine and some negative thought form comes and distorts the frequency and vibratory state of what you're trying to heal, it can't happen? Of course it can. Go within. And I'm not saying not to use the machines or not, but just make sure you're clearing your area, you are shielding and protecting yourself, and just know that infiltration can occur with anything. There's a naivete in society that we all want to believe that everybody has good intentions and we want the best for humanity. And as much as I want to have the best for humanity, not everybody does. And we collectively can't be in every operational plant through all the steps on every project, on every machine. We don't know, honestly, what's being put into this technology. We can only hope that it's intended for the positive. Well, that's wishful thinking. And as much as I like to be optimistic and happy and cheery, there is a side that we keep neglecting, is to look at all sides, not just wishful thinking. I think that's a problem that humanity has suffered, and we've seen the end results of this. We became so slaved into our technology. Many people only live on technology. They have their homes, they can say, hey, Siri, or hey, Alexa, and hear this one. And, you know, you could change your thermostat, but as soon as that electrical grid goes down, what are you going to be doing? How is anything going to be turned on where I can just turn a switch on and a generator and everything works? I don't need Wi-Fi for half my stuff. Nor do I want it. That's too many infiltrating waves in my brain. We really need to keep a lot of these things in mind as technology is advancing. It's not all bad, and it's the will and intention of how you use it that makes it good or bad. It's still God's creation, and it's somebody's creative thought that God gave them. But there is infiltration for sure. And I would just be very careful with not getting on the bandwagon right away with med beds. I don't like to speak negatively on something that could possibly be game changing to the world. It would be game changing for me. If I was out of pain, I could speak properly, I could see properly. That would be game changing for me and for so many people. But we have an assignment, an arrangement, a contract, a volunteer. Hey, I signed off on the dotted line to have such an experience so God can experience itself through me. And I signed it to an end point. Whether that is me shifting into my light body in fifth, whether it's me dying and getting a new avatar in fifth, whatever that scenario plays out. Okay, I don't know. I don't predict my future because I can change my timeline at any moment. What I'm trying to say is we have to end our contracts. We have to finish out what we signed with Source with. A med bed isn't going to save your life if you signed a specific way you're going to pass away because you needed that experience, and so did everybody around you. Unfortunately, we fear as a society, not me, but a lot of people fear death. They don't want to sit in pain, and no one should have to sit in pain. I'm not saying listen, I know half my friends died of cancer young. Okay, that's disgusting to say. I'm 40 years old and I have a lot of friends who already had died in their early 20s and 30s from cancer. Okay, don't think I don't want my friends back. Brain cancer, osteosarcoma, legs missing. I mean, I've been through a lot of devastation and loss, including both my parents. If they could have gone into a machine, my father had scleroderma. Go look that up. That's a Medusa disease. He was in insufferable kind of pain. Just listen, I would love for people to be healed, including myself. But I wouldn't trust the technology for a very long time. The shift would have to happen, and we would all have to be unified and working all together in unity for me to even be coming close to a machine that I would put myself in to change my DNA and my frequency to heal me. That's all I'm saying. It would take a very long time for me to enter in it for myself. And that's just me. Okay, you do you. Do you, boo? But until then, I will have to work out, which I've been doing. I will have to eat the pain, save up fundage, which will probably, and I hate to put that out there into the universe, but probably will never happen to get my teeth fixed unless I have a king. I don't like to say prince anymore. I should have a king come and help me get new teeth and be my husband and shower me with love and care. But until that day comes, which probably won't, being realistic, it's just something to take into account and something to think about. Because when I'm reading these articles and I'm thinking of all the experiments and the quantum computers that people say they're already existing, okay, to an extent maybe, but like stuff like this is not even it's in its infancy. So who are we fooling? Do they have quantum computers? I absolutely believe that they do. Are they out for the mass public? No. And if they're still doing these experiments, they haven't perfected it yet. That only lends to reason that we're dealing with outside of this paradigm technology, higher density forms technology. And why would I want to put myself in technology that is not from a human creative thought? That it came, and not to say the aliens are not there, everything is source, but I don't know what their intentions are up there. That's just throwing a curveball in through a curveball and seeing if it hit. Just something to think about. I know a lot of people want these things, but in the meantime, this is the big test for humanity. In the meantime, in the now moment, in the present moment, what are you doing for yourself? How are you helping yourself? Please, how are you doing each and every day? What are you doing to better yourself? I know a lot of people that can benefit from technology like this. People that are in wheelchairs, people who their bodies are ravaged. Don't think I don't want to see people healed. I absolutely do. But at what cost will it be? Will they come out healed? Or will they come out with distortions to their DNA where they thought they were ascending and they went in a machine and now they're not? Now they're stuck. That's a potentiality, and that's probably, in my estimation, a high percentage. You know, we wrote our scripts for a reason. We wrote our ailments. We wrote these things in, and we have to deal with them. And yes, the system has been corrupted and made it worse for us. I understand that. Trust me. I probably wouldn't have gray hair at a very young age if I didn't have to go on biologics to start walking and picking up pencils to do my artwork. You know, and then they look at you when you ask for a disability and they're like, no, you're too young. What do you mean? Everybody has arthritis. Yeah. So it's a ping pong match in my mind, and until further research and the shift, and that's not coming for some time. Until that happens, I just want to stick with the natural, holistic stuff for now. That's all I can afford. And you know, never X-nay out the medical field. Everybody hates going to the hospital until you have a heart attack and need to be saved. Or you rip yourself open and need stitches because you can't do that yourself. So just think about those kind of things and how you project your words. I think that's another avenue to discuss at a later time. Honestly, I love everybody, but we still have to start improving our ways of thinking and how we are projecting and spellcasting into this paradigm. Next article, lifeboat.com, which will send me to somewhere else, but it's giving me more than some of the other past things. This is July 13th, 2024, exploring wormholes in symmetric teleparallel gravity, posted by Dan Greenan. Category is cosmology, quantum physics. Wormholes, a captivating theoretical concept, offer a potential shortcut through space and time, a celestial tunnel connecting distant points through the intricate fabric of space-time. The inception of this idea dates all the way back to 1935 when Albert Einstein and Nathan Rosen proposed the concept of a wormhole, also known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, as a unique solution within the framework of Einstein's general relativity. The hypothetical existence of wormholes carries profound implications for space travel, such as the ability to traverse vast cosmic distances in remarkably short durations, and exploring their properties and implications could provide important information about the structure of space-time itself. Furthermore, being closely linked to other perplexing cosmic phenomena, such as black holes, dark matter, and the enigmatic event known as the Big Bang, the cosmic genesis that set our universe into motion, wormholes have the potential to provide insights into these cosmic puzzles and deepen our understanding of the origin of the universe. Additionally, investigating wormholes could help bridge the gap between GR and quantum mechanics, which is currently one of the most important problems in theoretical physics. Inspired by this, a team of researchers led by Dr. P.K. Sahu, in collaboration with Mr. Zenit Hansen from the Department of Mathematics at the Hybrid something like that campus of Birla Institute of Technology, recently delved into the investigation of wormholes. They focused on the modified teleparallel gravity framework with conformal symmetry within the context of non-communicative geometry. The primary objective of their research was to shed light on the specific conditions required for the existence of wormholes within the above framework. The study of wormholes within the context of something, I want to say that is F, holy crap, Q, symmetric teleparallel gravity with conformal symmetry under non-communicative geometry, represents a sophisticated and specialized area of research in the field of theoretical physics and cosmology, says Dr. Sahu. Their findings were published in 437 of the journal Annals of Physics in February. Okay, I don't know if I want to even go on, because if we were to take the notion that there's a firmament above us, and this is just, me pondering here, that's why I call it Metaphysical Ponderings. If we have a firmament above us, okay, so let's just say this space is not really necessarily space, it's water or whatever have you. Okay, so in order to get to the lands beyond, let's say we are on a toroidal flat planed existence reality, and we need to go up a dimensionality or zip to another dimension. That's where the wormholes really need to be discovered and explored. Not thinking outside of us, outside space, time, outside the firmament. We need to think in terms of lands beyond. dimensional spaces, density spaces beyond. How do we get there? I know more and more of the spiritual community who is able to project light body, who have vivid dreams of, I've had this multiple times, of being teleported, but in that teleportation going through a wormhole of time space, but not outside of the planet. It's inside the planet that these exist. The vastness of space, time, is infinite. We give it a definition. Like other philosophers and other channels have been saying, we limit ourselves. This is limit because 30 days limitation. We have a limited comprehension and scope and view of our material world. But if we were to break the definitions and rip them apart, what would you get? And that's what I'm posing with this parallel. There are parallel Earths. There's a multiverse that happens dimensionally within time space, within the here and now. The choice I didn't make today to go outside is playing out in another dimensional space. I wanted to go and find a park today to go on the swings, but I just couldn't get myself to move today quick enough. And it's also Saturday, and I thought a lot of people would be at the park. I don't want to be around people. I need to ground. So I stayed in today. I went outside in my backyard. But that other part of me is out there right now playing out that I went out today. Parallel. And within the parallel becomes this bridge from one point to the other. What happens when I want to project my light body? It's instantaneous. It gets to where I need it to go. But what happens if it's outside the realm of this reality? That's where I think a lot of these physicists need to start quantum thinking about. Dimensionality, density, literal, actual symmetrical time, space as in toroidal energy fields in the lands beyond. We keep looking up into a projection. It's a holograph. We are the simulation. This is a matrix, in my estimation and opinion. If you read the Bible, you got it, because it says the firmament. So what's above the firmament? It doesn't, the globe theory doesn't necessarily work if there's a firmament over it. Or are we in a big glass ball and the alien shakes it and here we are? We can only imagine these things are not so far-fetched anymore, these concepts, the ways of thinking outside of that box. But what happens if there is a dome over us? Like The Simpsons told you. They tell you everything. But that's predictive programming, because they played it back in the early 90s when everybody was so asleep that you watched it, you gave consent to it. Now it's playing out in a reality near you because we all manifest it. So you have to be very careful what you watch. And it gets more clever and more trickier as many people are still obsessed with Netflix and television. I'm not saying don't watch television. I'm just saying be very mindful how to stop the in-source and the in-streaming of shit they want you to manifest for them. We can't stop the perpetuation of the bullshit until more people actually come to the consciousness that you're manifesting for them. And that's still source, but that's not the reality or paradigm that I want. I don't think many of you want it either. Okay, so I have an infestation of black flies in my house. My abilities are amplifying by 20 million times. And oh my gosh, today was just a harder day. Lots of thought forms, lots of feelings that were being fed to me that I had to block. That's why I've been tired a couple of days, besides doing very good deeds for other people, but not really receiving anything back. Oh, I gotta love life. Hopefully one day all my good deeds get repaid and that I can just not have to worry. And I know we shouldn't be worrying, but if we don't motivate ourselves to get kicked in the butt to do something about our plight in life, right? Another lifeboat.com article, Revelations, unveiling new layers of Higgs boson. We're going to have to read more on this. This is from SciTech Daily. This is the original, I guess. New research confirms the Standard Model's predictions about the Higgs boson, while suggesting future data may reveal unknown aspects of particle physics. The Higgs boson was discovered in the detectors of the Large Hadron Collider a dozen or so years ago. It has proved to be a particle so difficult to produce and observe that despite the passage of time, its properties are still unknown with still not known with satisfactory accuracy. Now we know a little more about its origin thanks to the just published advancement of an international group of theoretical physicists. Higgs boson discoverer. The scientific world is unanimous in its opinion that the greatest discovery made was the Large Hadron Collider, is the famous Higgs boson. For 12 years, physicists have been trying to learn as precisely as possible about the properties of this very important elementary particle. The task is extremely difficult due to both the experimental challenges and numerous computational hurdles. Fortunately, significant progress has been made in the theoretical research thanks to a group of physicists from the Institute of Nuclear Physics of the Polish Academy of Science in Krakow. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff. The God particle. Often referred to as the God particle, the Higgs boson gained the nickname from the title of Leon Litterman's book. The original, the goddamn particle, was meant to reflect the frustration over the difficulty in detecting it. The publisher opted for a less controversial name, which captures the Higgs boson significance in particle physics. It is central to the theory explaining how other particles acquire mass, a fundamental aspect of our universe's structure. The role of Standard Model. The Standard Model is complex theoretical structure constructed in the 1970s to coherently describe the currently known elementary particles of matter, quarks. as well as electrons, muons, tau, and the associated trinity of neutrinos, and electromagnetic forces, photons, and nuclear forces, gluons, in the case of strong interactions, W and Z bosons in the case of weak interactions. The icing on the cake in the creation of the Standard Model was the discovery, thanks to the LHC, the collider, of the Higgs boson, a particle that plays a key role in the mechanism responsible for giving masses to the other elementary particles. The findings of the Higgs was announced in mid-2012 when we all were put into a failsafe, unbeknownst to them. Since then, scientists have been trying to gain as much information as possible about the fundamentality important particle, enhancing Higgs boson collision analysis. For a physicist, one of the most important parameters associated with any elementary or nuclear particle is the cross-section for a specific collision. This is because it gives us information on how often we expect the particle to appear in collisions of a certain type. We have focused on the theoretical determination of the Higgs boson cross-section in gluon-gluon collisions. They are responsible for the production of 90% of the Higgs traces, of whose presence have been registered in the detectors of the LHC accelerator. We're going to skip a bunch. The implications for the Standard Model in new physics. See, we're becoming new physics now. The widespread belief among scientists in the need for the existence of a new physics stems from the fact that the number of fundamentally, yeah, again, I can't see shit. Important questions cannot be answered with Standard Model. Why do elementary particles have the masses they do? Why do they form families? What is dark matter made of, traces of which are so clearly visible in the cosmos? What is the reason for the predominance of matter over antimatter in the universe? The Standard Model also needs to be extended because it does not at all take into account gravity, which is such a common interaction. I don't believe in gravity, I believe in density. And I think that's where their problem lies. A lot of problems lie with the fact that gravity is density. Yucky. Thankfully, that was not a fly. That was my shirt. Future of Higgs boson research and standard models. Importantly, the last achievement of theoretical physicists from the university in Poland does not definitely rule out the presence of new physics and phenomena accompanying the birth of the Higgs boson. Much may change when data from gradually starting forth research cycle of the Large Hadron Collider begin to be analyzed. The increasing number of observations of new particle collisions may make it possible to narrow down the measurement uncertainties in such a way that the measured range of permissible cross-sections from Higgs production no longer coincides with the defined by theory. Whether or not this will happen, physicists will find out in a few years from now. The Standard Model can feel safer than ever, and this fact is slowly starting to become the most surprising discovery made. Yeah. So that I feel is extremely interesting, for sure. Do I think they're going to zip us back out of our current reality? I don't think so. It's a potentiality that could possibly happen, but I think when they discovered that literal source energy took us and helped us not implode, kept us safe. And I think that's the most important aspect of something that's unknown, and we won't know until we are in the higher densities to know what exactly happened the day the Higgs boson particle was found. We will never know until we know it for ourselves in the other densities, if you're interested in such things. It is a bit scary, but I have faith that many of us who were alive at that point in time definitely see time continuum difference in the Mandela effect, in the cycles of our paradigm of the awakening process, that has been accelerated since that point in time. Before that, a lot of us had our abilities, had a knowing, but we didn't know what that knowing was, per se. We were awake to agendas, but not a bigger picture. We only had little snippets of different potentialities and different realities that were playing out, but not being seen by a mass whole. Which is important to say that as much truth and understanding of the mechanics of how this world is composed, this reality, the simulation, the holographic simulated that we live in, doesn't matter how you perceive it and if you believe in it or not, we're still here in a physical now. We still exist with matter. Things are real, like I'm touching this, right? So when we're looking in what is real, what's not real, there's all is real. There's just a lot that we cannot perceive and comprehend with these little brains of ours. That doesn't mean that it never existed. It's just we're becoming more and more en masse awakened. There were people that were leading the forefront prior to 2012 that was being channeled, and they got information, the law of one, and so many books that were talking about this time of now. But most people were saying that we were going to end in 2012. Why is that? Because in one reality, we really did end our existence. We did. And that Higgs boson went off and opened up a doorway that put us into a safe place, a fail-safe that kept us from the point beyond. And now we're going back to the 0 point of that time. Why we have to do things twice. Why certain things politically are happening twice. Why we're coming back to 1776 in the astrology in America, at least. When you're looking at the astrological alignments of one era and now back to here, it's all like repeating. Should it be repeating? If we're not going back in time, space, in a 3D concept, how would any of this be possible? How are we repeating a cycle if we're only moving forward in space-time? It doesn't make sense. I'm not an astrologer, so I'm not that keen on understanding all the repetitive things and coming back into the same astrology, but it lends an ear to understanding the physics behind it. And if we really did get put into a safe place and now we're coming back to the 0 point, right before we imploded so that we kind of negate this bad implosion. Now we're coming and we're going to spring forward. Hey, I'm all down for that. Just find it very fascinating. Here's another article that I have to click read more on. Give me a second. This is from nanowork.com. Also off of that light boat place. Quantum light unlocks nature's tiny secrets. Researchers at the University of Michigan have found a way to examine tiny structures such as bacteria and genes with reduced damage compared to traditional light sources. The new technique involves spectroscopy, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is the study of how matter absorbs and emits light and other forms of radiation. And it takes advantage of quantum mechanics to study the structure and dynamics of molecules in ways that are not possible using conventional light sources. This research examined a quantum light spectroscopy technique called entangled two-photon absorption that takes advantage of entanglement to reveal the structures of molecules and acts at ultra-fast speeds to determine properties that cannot be seen with classical spectroscopy, said study senior author Theodore Goodson. Entangled two-photon absorption allows researchers to study molecules by using two photons that are interconnected through a quantum phenomenon known as entanglement. Photons are the smallest possible particles of electromagnetic energy. Homo luminous, here we come. Oh. Therefore, also the smallest particles of light, allowing details about the molecule structure to be visible, which cannot be shown with regular light. Quantum light spectroscopy is very fast and can reveal properties that are usually hidden. Measurements with entangled photons may enable sensing biological structures with high selectivity and at very low light levels to protect against photo damage, said lead author Oleg Volansky. The researchers found that using pairs of photons that were quantumly entangled, the molecule exhibited absorption in the red spectrum. With two untangled photons, the molecule showed, there's like a lot of ZNTPP molecules showed absorbed in a blue spectrum. A laser produced pairs of entangled photons through a process called spontaneous parametric down conversion. The photons were then focused on a curvet containing the ZNTPP solution. The transmission was measured using a highly sensitive single photon detector. This provides the opportunity to study states of molecules with non-classical light that have fundamentally different properties than are accessible with classical light. So, I mean, this is great because they will actually at some point prove that we're becoming Homo luminous. That the structures of our etheric DNA are in the transformation stages, helping the DNA that's the junk that they tell us that is now transforming into crystalline. People only look at what is physically here, but we have etheric DNA that's within us when the God spark hit us. And here we go. It's not just genetics and the physical, it's your etherical, other density layers of self that's encompassed in this body that people are totally not focused on. They're only focused in the tangible. I focus in the untangible. And untangible etherical DNA is structuring. If they can focus in those lights, the blue, the red, and what other color do they have? Orange, green, blue, red. If they could focus this on the body, you would see the different levels, not just aura outside body, you would see it in the body. How cool would that be? To see how many photons are activated within your body. That would be amazing. I'm like I started out with a good article and we're going to end on a good article because that's pretty fantastic. So yeah, that'd be a cool device to we would have light projected in us at some point that will show how our molecules and the photons acting within are illuminated. Light bodies unite. So yeah, those articles were really interesting that I found. There's just so much with what's coming out now that is showing that physics, quantum mechanics, quantum entanglement is finally getting its solidification in this reality, as it was poo-pooed back then. It was only a theory. Now it's becoming more and more of where people are going to find the advanced mathematics, the advanced physics, the advanced chemistry, computing. This is hitting in all areas. It's not just one. They had to resolve and come to the fact that they had to change the one of the laws of thermodynamics. This stuff is mind-blowing. And soon we're going to see more and more of these advancements. Not all of them are bad. It's just, where can it be taken if it were in the wrong hands? And that's where I think a part of our coming into unity and understanding where a lot of the technology is going, and if we're going to be a participant in that technology or not. I don't plan on getting a chip implanted in me. I don't want to project a computer screen through my eyes. I'm not willing to allow a computer control my already quantum computer. That's my brain. No thanks. A lot of this sounds fanciful and cool. And for people that have traumatic brain injury or had an accident that loses these things, I think that technology would be fantastic for people like that. It's needed, but for good reasons. But I don't need somebody controlling, oh, you're denied because your arm scan said you're a bad person. You said something negative. I don't want that control over me. Sorry. I'm a free thinker, free speaker. And I think everybody should be, with moral high ground at the root of it. But yeah, those were the bigger articles. The ones that were phishing, scammy, sounded a little too good to be true. But that's just the way of this world right now. Everybody's being scammed, and AI is being used in evil, nefarious ways, deep fakes, and we're so caught up in the illusory world that we're being faked out by fake shit. we need to come into a comprehension that there are things that are real that you see, and there are a lot of things that are not. You know, I could take a picture of myself from the 1980s, and it's very hard to doctor those kind of pictures. Oh, but that's Photoshop. That's Photoshop. That's Photoshop. That picture of that person is Photoshop. For instance, Madonna. Yeah, she's like Asian, and then all of a sudden she's back to her wrinkly old self. Like, who are you fooling? Not me. You want to believe everything is Photoshop? That's beautiful. Then you live in a really illusory world on top of an illusory world. We just need to really go into here to know what is true for you and what is strikingly different from the reality you once knew that is now being changed in 1984 at every second of the day. That's the other scary possibility. 1984 is taking place as we speak. George Orwell was profound in his book. Profound. Animal House too. Animal Farm. Profound. Just the thinking of such things. We all need to come into an agreement that we're only seeing surface layered shit. And even as we unravel collectively together all the truths, it's just a fraction of a bigger picture. I said that to Strack when he was at JQ's house. I said, who's giving you your thoughts? And you're and I love the guy. He's such a sweetheart. You're focused on the information that you're reading, but your Thoth Marduk, okay, is one fraction of a bigger picture that you're not equating the other things to. You need to take it all in before you come up with an estimation that it's this. And we've seen it so many times in certain movements that you equate a concept and you bring a lot of other concepts in, but that's just a fractal of a bigger picture that's not seen, that can't be comprehended because it wasn't meant to be discovered just yet. That's why certain people are suppressed more than others. JQ is very highly suppressed because his information is hitting a lot of nerves. And I know mine does the same thing. People don't want to hear go into your heart space. Stop putting people on podiums. This one's a quasar. Oh, that one can time travel and that one can do this. Well, I could do the same shit and so can all of you if you tried. Why are we doing the comparison and judging of other things and people? We're all source, we're all one. Why does one person's mission, your mission is just as important. If you were not here right in this time of now, a lot would be different because you're anchoring light, you're helping ascension, you're helping seeding humanity the truth. All of you are just as important as the people that you put up on those podiums. They're playing out what God needed them to play out, and so are we. Okay, just because you're not on screen, you're not standing in front of 50,000 people doesn't mean your role is any less important than that person. We all signed up for these things. Some of us have to realize that our little role in the quietness is huge. You might not think of it because we're, as humans, programmed to think, well, You'll only make it if this is your status. Most people who are speaking the absolute truth to the frequency that they're at, in the vibratory state that they're at, okay, don't get noticed. Doesn't mean they're not any more important than anybody else. So please take that into consideration when you are spreading your little seeds of information to other people. Make sure that the ego is gone, because everybody's important. Everybody together united will explode this place in a good way. We will move. By lowering your self-worth to put someone else on top isn't going to get you that far. It's only going to lower your frequency. So let's stop lowering the frequency in the vibratory state. The picture that we're seeing is just a fractal of a larger compendium of amazement. Just a fractal. It's a contribution to the story. But the story is very vast and very wide, and not one person has the entirety of that book. So until we can come together to read that book together, stop putting people on podiums and hoping they're going to save things, because if you don't do the work inside, no one's going to get saved, because you're not saving yourself. You are an important tool. You are an important being on this plane of existence. And all the beings that came before and after all hold the same significance, because now that they're ascended, they're aiding us in anchoring the light and steering us forward. There are other entities that are trying to halter us back. But I rather go with my concurrent lives, we call them ancestors. Time is simultaneous, in my opinion. All those parallel lives that I have lived as those other people, as those other timelines, as those other dimensional spaces, I'm all encompassing that. I have to live up to honor them, myself. Once you understand, we are all special. We are all needed. We all have an important role on this planet. There is nobody above or below you. Just remember that. I don't care how unconscious, brainwashed, and nullified that some of these people are. They're still important. They're still holding light. You might not see it, but they are. And some of them have a lot of overcoats and jackets and hoodies on that the light isn't coming really out, but there's a light somewhere in there. We got to get that light to get those layers off so their light can shine too. Stop hating other people for what they are and what they chose. That's God experiencing itself. They hate you just as much as you hate them. Equal, null and void, cancels itself out, and let's move forward. Okay? You can't help what God put onto this board to play out. You can help your reaction to it, and then stop feeding the negative aspect to it, so it continuously perpetuates itself. Do you want that? Let's stop looking at all the negative things that come about, and let's start focusing on the positive. Like, I started that article in a good way and I ended it on a good article, because these advancements are fantastic. And I think they're really going to help us evolve. We just have to be in the awareness of who's putting the will and intention into these projects. And humanity really should know what is truly being worked on instead of being hidden by private investors and being flung over here. That's where we're going to get in trouble. And that's how past repeats itself. Well, concurrent time shifts. Time crystals get manipulated. We don't want that. And this is just another evolutionary step for us to learn lessons and learn how to walk in neutrality in God's path, source's path, the all, whatever you want to equate it to you. I don't care. In a good way, you can follow any faith. Do you have faith in yourself? So, sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the physical shoulder for somebody to lean on. Be the lighthouse, because you have the frequency that's anchoring the planet, but you're also illuminating other people into the truth and higher consciousness. Seed, because you never know when you drop a seed, it might not dawn on somebody right away, but that little seed starts growing and the little shoot grows out. And I hope all of you are having a fantastic weekend. Please be safe, be seen. Thank you for your support and my gratitude to everybody who has been coming in and helping me out. I really, really highly appreciate all the help that I can get right at this moment in time. I'm hoping I can get back on my feet. I'm hoping that eventually the channel gets monetized. It doesn't make it really is sense at the end of the day, but any little thing helps, because I've been having nothing come in the last 2 years, no income, just me trying to figure it out. So I do appreciate everybody for helping me on this journey, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.